Okay. Got it. So what did we see last time? Last time we saw. Okay, let's start with you. What did we see? We saw Shantanu. Very good. Actually, you have to keep this. Here. You have to speak into the mic. Give it to her. Hey, give it to her. Okay. Who did we speak about last time? Again.
Shantanu.
Very good. And then whom did Shantanu marry?
He married Ganga.
He married Ganga. And you can give it to her. And what happened after that? How many children did they have?
8.
They had 8 children. Very good. And what happened to 7 of those children?
They drowned.
They drowned by themselves?
No. Ganga threw them in the river.
Ganga threw them in the river. How bad. Why did Ganga throw them in the river?
Because the sage gave a curse for the 8 sages because
8 Vasus.
8 Vasus.
Which what's the name of the sage?
We have Vasishta.
Vasishta. Very good.
And he gave a curse, and he gave a curse that they will be a human.
They will be born human beings. Okay. And he also gave a reduction in curse that they can die as soon as they are born, so they can come back to heaven. And he gave that only to 7 of them, not 8 of them. Now, who was? Go ahead, give the mic back. Good, give the mic back to your mom.
Oh.
Okay, so who was the 8th Vasu? Who was the 8th Vasu?
Something with S.
Something with S?
No, it started with an L. It started Bhishma? No!
The 8th Vasu. Okay, who are the Vasus?
Wait, what do you mean?
Who are the Vasus? Let's start from the top, okay? The Vasus are, repeat after me. Aha, Anala, Anila, Dhara, Soma, Dhruva, Pratyusha, Prabhasa.
Oh yeah, the guy who showed the thing.
The Prabhasa is the guy who stole the cow. Yeah, he's the guy. Prabhasa stole the cow. Okay, so who was the 8th Vasu? Prabhasa. Okay, Prabhasa was the 8th Vasu, and Prabhasa did not get a reduction. I'm not done with you. I give a right answer, and then I'm done with you.
Okay.
So Prabhasa was the 8th Vasu who effectively stole the cow. He did not get a reduction in curse. Okay, so who was Prabhasa born as? Prabhasa was born, right, as a human being. What was his name given to him?
Bhishma.
No, that was not given.
Devavrata.
Devavrata. Very good. Now you can give the mic. Yeah, Sujit. Let's start with Sujit. You come from there. I'll give you an easy one. So Devavrata was there. So Devavrata was he given to Shantanu immediately, or what happened to him? You have to sit down. Here.
How did Devavrata born?
Yeah, Devavrata was born. Ganga told the whole story to Shantanu. Then what did she do?
She was about to drown him.
Yeah, then she didn't. Shantanu stopped her, and then she told the entire story of the Vasus. Everything is over. What did she do with that child, 8th child, who's Devavrata? I'll keep asking you questions until you give a right answer. Even I know the right answer.
Then your dad could answer.
Okay, I'll come back to you then. Do you know the right answer? You do?
Yes, I do.
I think everybody beyond like the first row sleeping. Okay. So what happened to him? What happened?
Ganga took him and raised him in all the arts.
Ganga took him and raised him for a few years. Ganga took Devavrata and raised him for a few years. No, you can give it back. You guys have to keep it. Ganga took him and raised him for a few years. Okay. She raised him for a few years and came back and gave this child to Shantanu and said that this child has learned the Vedas from Sage Vasishta, excellent. And Warcraft from? Archery from? Parashurama, excellent. He reigned there and gave back this child to Shantanu. Now you can keep it. Was Shantanu happy or was he sad? He was very happy. He got his son back. Okay. Now let's go to Mahabharata. Okay, then what happened? Something happened to Shantanu. He was feeling
Sad.
Unhappy.
He was unhappy. Why was he unhappy? Why was he? Oh my God! I know the answer. Why am I asking the question? I already know the answer. Sit down, all of you. Sit down. Why was he unhappy? He was lonely. Okay. Now let's give it back to Sujit. So he was lonely and he was walking by the river. Which river? Start from the beginning. What are the rivers in India? Not Ganga. Okay, next. Yamuna. Okay, he was walking by river Yamuna. Whenever there is river in Mahabharata, Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, you'll get the right answer. Okay. So he was walking by the river Yamuna. Let's go to the next person. Now we'll come back to you. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. He was walking by river Yamuna, and what happened to him? No, he did not see a beautiful girl. That came later. What first happened to him? Who knows? You know. Who knows? What happened to him? First, something happened. He didn't see, but he smelled a beautiful fragrance. So I'm going to come back to you. You can pass the mic. First time. Okay. Are you coming? Okay, you both are. No, we'll also ask Auntie. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now let's start again from that. He smelled a beautiful fragrance. Yeah. That is true. Smelled a beautiful fragrance, and then he walked in that direction, and he saw a beautiful girl. What was her name? Satyavati. Very good. He saw a beautiful girl named Satyavati. Now, when Shantanu saw Ganga for the first time, what did he do? I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from. He's marrying me. That's what he did, right? So this time he was a little clever. What is the first thing he asked her? Yeah, you can answer. You have the mic.
Who are you?
Who are you? Very good.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Who are you? What are you doing? Did you eat food? Do you work somewhere? He just asked, who are you? And then he asked another question. We'll come to that. Go. I'm going to ask you the tough question. What else did he ask?
He asked, where do you come from?
Okay. And then?
And he asked, who's your father?
Who's your father from? He wanted to talk to her father. She said, father is the?
Does this mic work?
Yes, you have to keep it close, okay? To what? Best doctor.
Chief of the fishermen.
Chief of the fishermen. What's his name?
I don't know.
What's the chief? Hey, I have to ask you the question. What is the chief of fishermen's name?
You're just a chief.
He was just a chief. He didn't have a name. Why would they call him by a name? They'll just call him chief. Chief of fishermen was just chief of fishermen. Vyasa didn't give him a name. Okay, so we don't know the name. He was just a chief. You actually got that name. Chief of fishermen. Now, what did Shantanu do?
He asked if he could marry her.
No, not. Okay, fine. So Shantanu first and met the chief of fishermen, said, you have a special daughter. Chief of fishermen said, yes, I know. And Shantanu said, well, I want to marry her. Okay. What did the chief say?
Yes, but only one condition, that only their children would become the next king.
Children would become the next king of? Next king of? Okay, next king of? Hastinapura. That you cannot forget. Okay, repeat it 3 times. Hastinapura.
Hastinapura.
You can never forget that. It's a place where all of this happens. Okay. So the chief said, children born to Satyavati and you should become the next king of Hastinapura. Who should not become the next king of Hastinapura? No. Chitraveerya is not born. Who's already born? After a lot of difficulty, she just said the name. She already knows the answer. Okay, we'll come back to you. Devavrata, but that's not your question. So Devavrata cannot become the next king. Okay, Devavrata cannot become the next king of Hastinapura. Now, give me my Okay, so Devavrata cannot become the next king of Hastinapura. What did Shantanu do?
He said no and he went back.
He went back. Okay, he didn't want to do it. But was he happy after that? Just completely forgot Satyavati?
No, he was in depression, and then Devavrata asked Shantanu, like, why are you
so sad? Okay, Devavrata asked Shantanu. Okay, now give the mic back. So Devavrata asked Shantanu, why are you so sad? Why are you so sad? Shantanu couldn't say why he's sad. How could he say, I'm in love with Satyavati? He really didn't want to say anything. So Devavrata went and spoke to somebody. Who did he speak to? The person who rode the chariot. Devavrata went and spoke to Shantanu's charioteer. And the charioteer said, yes, your dad went and spoke to the chief of fishermen, and ever since he came back, he's always been sad. Devavrata said, take me to that fisherman. Yeah? Let's go back to Sujit. Okay, so Devavrata went and spoke to this chief of fishermen. And this chief of fishermen, what did he say?
Oh, it's his question.
He told the story.
He told the conversation between Shantanu and said, your dad wanted to marry my daughter. This was my condition. No children born to your dad and my daughter. One has to become the next king of Hastinapura. Devavrata cannot become the next king of Hastinapura. What did Devavrata immediately say?
He told like he won't be he won't be having children.
No, that not came later. What was the first thing he said? You cannot become the next. The children born to them has to become the next king of Hastinapura. What did he say? Okay, no problem. That's all. Simple answer. Okay. Let's go. Let's keep going. He said okay. What did the fisherman say? Fisherman said okay, very good. You guys can they can get married. Yeah. He'll keep coming back to you.
He cannot have kids of his own.
He didn't say that. He said, okay, come on. You're jumping too much. You get too much. You too. We'll get you.
He won't marry.
No. What did the chief of fishermen say?
What if you don't live up to your promise, like what you said?
Wrong. Next.
I don't get married and you get children. And they will come to
And they will come after the kingdom. He never said, what if your children? What if you have children? He didn't say, what if you have children and they come after the kingdom? He was speculating, hypothetical scenario. What if that happens? You will keep up your promise. Your children may not. Okay? Alright, okay. Now, then what happened? The children may not keep up the promise. Then what did Devavrata say?
Devavrata said that he would never get married.
Devavrata said that he would never get married.
He said he would be a
Brahmacharya. He would be a bachelor forever. He would never get married because if he doesn't get married, he'll never have children. If he doesn't have children, nobody can come after the kingdom. Simple. So he said, okay, no problem. Problem solved, right? Was this selfish or unselfish?
Unselfish.
Unselfish. Was selfish or unselfish?
Unselfish.
Why did Devavrata do this? You can just tell.
His father wanted to be happy.
He wanted his father to be. He wanted his father to be
happy.
happy. He wanted his father to be
Happy.
Most important lesson in the entire Mahabharata. Devavrata was unselfish. He gave up his kingdom. He gave up married life. Said he will be a bachelor forever. Everything he did because he wanted his father to be happy. Most important. I know you also want your father to be happy. I'm sure he'll be happy. Devavrata wanted his father to be happy. And he said, okay, I don't want the kingdom. Okay. Now, once he made that, he put up his hands and made this vow, and gods appeared and showered flowers on Devavrata and cried out, Bhishma! The word Bhishma means someone made a terrible vow and lives up to it. Okay. In some Sanskrit, the word Bhishma means terrible. Like that. Bhishma. Terrible is given a wrong connotation now. Terrible just means terrible. It doesn't mean bad. It just means impossible, amazing, incredible, terrible. Okay, alright. So what happened after that? So he went and took Satyavati back to Shantanu and presented Satyavati to Shantanu and told everything that had happened. Shantanu was so proud of Devavrata, now Bhishma, and he
said he can live. He said he can die whenever he wants.
Yes, you can choose that. You are not an ordinary human being. You don't deserve to die like an ordinary human being. I give you the boon that you can choose the date and time of your death. Okay, so far we saw. Then what happened? Quickly. Alright, so then what happened? Shantanu and Satyavati had 2 children. What were their names?
I know one.
Who knows the names?
I know.
You know the name? Okay, Vichitraveerya. Sujit has answered his question. Give the phone. Give the mic. Vichitraveerya is one. Go ahead. Chitrangada and Vichitraveerya. Chitrangada was the first son. Vichitraveerya was the second son. Chitrangada died at a young age. So Vichitraveerya became the king of Hastinapura. Then what happened?
He died.
Vichitraveerya also died. He died of what?
Tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. Vichitraveerya died of tuberculosis. Very important. Vichitraveerya died of tuberculosis. Okay. Vichitraveerya also died. The kingdom had no children. And Satyavati was very sad. And Bhishma had an idea. What idea did he have?
To tell, yeah.
Right, so he said that there is a way a very pious and pure Brahmana can come and bless Ambika and Ambalika with children. Who are Ambika and Ambalika? The wives of Vichitraveerya. Did they have an elder sister?
Yeah.
Yes, what's her name?
Amba.
Who's Amba? What happened to her? When Bhishma went to which land?
Magda. Drupada?
No. Drupada is not a land. Bhishma didn't go to Drupada.
No.
Bhishma went somewhere to the Swayamvara of these 3 sisters. Which land did he go to? Okay, who are the 3 sisters? Amba, Ambika, Ambalika. Amba, Amba, Ambika, Ambalika. Now these 3 were princesses of Kashi. They had a Swayamvara. Bhishma went there, but the other kings and princesses thought that he had come there for himself, taunted him. Bhishma got angry, fought everybody, took the 3 sisters in his chariot, came back. On the way, he fought with a king called Salva. He fought with a king called Salva, also defeated him, came back. Amba said,
I want to marry you. If you say no, I'll take revenge.
No.
I want to marry
What is this new Mahabharata you're telling me? There's no such Mahabharata.
I want to marry the king. She said she wanted to marry Salva, and
Bhishma said, okay, no problem. Okay. She said, I want to marry King Salva. Bhishma said, okay, and sent her back.
And Bhima, when Bhima defeated before, we're talking about Bhishma, Salva, couldn't got defeated and he didn't marry Amba.
He didn't marry Amba because he felt humiliated. He said, I don't want to marry you because now Bhishma humiliated me in public. I don't want to marry you. If I marry you now, it would be like Bhishma gave you to me out of pity. No, I cannot marry you. Correct. So Amba came back and Bhishma asked Vichitraveerya, now will you marry her? Vichitraveerya said, what did he say?
No.
No. Why did he say no? Why did he say no?
He said no.
Okay, no, don't answer. Give the mic to me. Why did he say no? Vichitraveerya said no, I won't marry Amba. Why?
Because he felt insulted.
Because he felt insulted. When he was ready to marry, Amba said no, I'm in love with somebody else. Vichitraveerya said no. Go, I won't marry you. So what did Amba say? Amba said, okay, Vichitraveerya.
She will take a revenge.
No, not yet. Why is everybody bent on? Who's Amba? Amba said she'll take revenge. Okay. That's what she eventually said.
She said that then Bhishma should marry.
Exactly.
Bhishma said no because
Wait, we'll get that. First thing is, she said Bhishma, you should marry. But Bhishma, could he marry Amba?
no.
No, why?
Because he made a promise.
Because he made a promise never to get married. Because he made
A vow.
a promise never to get married. Because he made a promise never to get married. Even though Shantanu was no longer alive, he could have still gotten married. Shantanu was gone. Probably the fisherman was gone too. Nobody was ever going to know. Nobody was ever going to ask him. But he made a promise. He wanted to live up with the promise. Second most important lesson. If you make a promise, keep it. If you don't think you can keep the promise, don't make it. Simple. Always.
What if you don't know that you're not going to make it? But you actually, you know that you're going to.
If you're absolutely sure that you're not going to keep the promise, don't make it. But if you are absolutely sure you are going to keep the promise, make the promise. If you try and fail, it's okay. But you should try to keep it.
Well, you know, Vichitraveerya, how come?
You think about your question.
How long did he leave? Like, how long did he live? Did he live long enough to get children, or did he?
Yeah, he lived long enough to have children. That's why he got married in the first place.
But he didn't get children.
Yeah, that just didn't
So
happen.
that's the downside.
So that is the downside. All right. So important question. So what's the lesson here? If you think you can keep a promise, make the promise. If you don't think you can keep the promise, don't make the promise. So do you make promises to your parents? Do you make promises? Forget about keeping it or not. Do you make promises?
Sometimes.
Yeah. What kind of promises do you make?
I'll do homework.
You'll do homework. Okay. What else do you make? What kind of promise do
I'll
you make?
take a bath.
You'll take a bath every day. Oh my God, that has to be a promise nowadays. You'll eat vegetables. Okay. Homework, bath, vegetables. What else?
Clean your room.
Clean your room. What else do you make? You make promises? You don't make any promises to Sujit?
I do.
Yeah. Think of a promise that you've made. I'm sure you made a lot of promises. Think of a promise. Have you made a promise to your parents? I'll call you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What?
Promise? You made promises? You've all made promises to parents, to your children? Okay. Husbands, wives? Yeah. Always made promises? Okay. Sometimes it is difficult to keep the promise. Because we make promises in the best of intentions. Whenever we make a promise, our intention is always to keep it. Our intention, our thought is to keep it. Because when we are making the promise, we are not performing the action. It's just a word. It's just saying it. It's just thinking it. So it's easier. But when it comes to actually cleaning the room, or eating the vegetable, or Taking a bath. When it comes to actually doing it, it is definitely harder. Yes. Okay, so here's a trick. While making the promise, before you make it, pause for 10 seconds and think about what it's going to take to actually do it.
Take a bath. What will it take to take a bath?
Okay, alright, so now what's going to happen? Okay, look at me. Now what's going to happen? You're going to think about what it's going to take to actually take a bath.
Baby, just go
And then you're going to feel, okay, since I cannot take a bath, what did Shriram say? Shriram said, if I cannot keep the promise, don't make the promise. So I'm not going to take a bath. Yay! Aha. So Vyasa was smarter than us. Okay, that's why he gave us the Bhishma story. If Bhishma is capable of giving up married life, giving up his kingdom, everything, just because he wanted to make his father happy, if you can eat vegetables, or do your homework, or take a bath, or call your parents, it's okay. Not a big deal. You don't have to give up anything. So, both these lessons put together is a very powerful combination. If you don't think you can keep a promise, don't make the promise. If you make the promise, keep the promise. And it is always okay to do anything and everything to keep your parents happy. Okay. Alright, so Amba will quickly revise this. Amba said, okay, revenge. She said, I'm going to take a revenge on Bhishma. But before, and she walked out and she started talking to king after king after king. Nobody agreed to help her. She eventually went and spoke to Parashurama, who also tried to speak to Bhishma. He also failed. And eventually Amba prayed to Lord Shiva. Shiva appeared before and what did... No, nothing's happened. Shiva's just come now. That's all that's happened.
She asked for wounds and then she
Okay, what did Amba say? So let's ask her again.
Well, when Shiva came, Amba immediately asked, she said, I want to take revenge on Bhishma.
I want to take revenge on Bhishma. And Shiva said,
Not in this book.
no, not in this, but Bhishma is too powerful.
But in the next birth, you can.
In the next birth, you will be the one to destroy Bhishma. So, Amba said, okay, next birth, right? That's probably going to take another 60 years. I'll wait 60 years for the next birth. Yeah? No. What did she say?
She couldn't take it any longer.
She couldn't take it any longer.
So
Oh
she
my
lit
God.
a fire and burned herself.
She lit a fire, jumped into the fire, and immediately was born as the daughter of King of Dhritarashtra of Panchala, and through rigorous penances and austerities and turned into a male warrior called Shikandi. Repeat after me. Shikandi. Repeat after me. Not before. That's not called repeating.
Well, we repeated you at the same time.
That's not called repeating.
What's that?
No. Shikandi. She was born as Shikandi, and years later in the war of Kurukshetra, it is Shikandi who causes Bhishma's death, which we will eventually see. Is that all we saw? No, okay. So Vyasa came. So Bhishma said that if he called upon a Brahmana, he can come and bless Ambika and Balika with children. Whom did they call?
Vyasa.
Who's Vyasa?
Satyavati's son.
Satyavati's son. Okay, when Satyavati was a little girl, she was in charge of riding a ferry to take people from one end of the Yamuna river to another. And one such time, she gave a ride to a sage called yeah, always Vasishta. Every time Vasishta, not Vasishta. Actually, he's related to Vasishta.
Something with me.
Something with V.
No. It could be me, but it starts with a
Wow. Oh, what's the name of the sage? Anybody?
No.
Vishwamitra? Okay, let's say all the sages' names. Somewhere we'll come to the sage. Okay. Who's heard of the shloka called Vishnu Sahasranama? Who's heard of it? Everybody. I'm asking everybody. Who's heard of it? Yes? No? Yes? Some of you have heard of it. You've heard of it? Okay. Do you know how it starts? What is the first shloka it starts with?
I forgot.
First shloka in Vishnu Sahasranama. Yeah.
I forgot.
No. First shloka in Vishnu Sahasranama. No. First shloka in Vishnu Sahasranama. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopa Shantaye. Second shloka. Again Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum. Second shloka is Vyasam Vasishta Naptaram Shakte Pautram Akalvasham Parasharatmajam Bande Shukatatam Taponidhim. Vyasam Vasishta Naptaram. Vyasa, Vasishta's great grandson. O Vyasa, hang on. O Vyasa, great grandson of. You have to listen to me. Vyasam Vasishta Naptaram. Naptaram means great grandson. Vyasa, you are the great grandson of Vasishta. Shakte Pautram Akalmasham. You are the grandson of sage Shakti. Parasharatmajam Vande. Atmaja means son of. You are the son of Parashara. Shukatatam Taponidhim. Tatha means father. You are the father of Shuka, sage Shuka. So Shloka says, Vyasam Vasishta Naptaram Shakte Potram Akalmasham Parasharatmajam Vande Shukatatam Taponidhim. It tells all the names of this genealogy. Vasishta, Shakti, Parashara, Vyasa, Shuka. That's the genealogy. So the sage, it's like you, your father, your grandfather, family tree. Family tree. Generations, family tree. Who's your grandfather? Who's your daughter? You don't have a daughter. Alright, okay, so Parashara was the sage. Who's the sage? Who's the sage? Parashara. Repeat after me. Parashara. All of you. Parashara. Parashara was the sage that Satyavati gave a right to. Now Parashara was enamored by Satyavati's beauty and he said, I wanted to bless you with a child. And he blessed her with Vyasa. Satyavati called upon Vyasa. He said, Vyasa won't be a hindrance to you in your life. He'll grow up in the forest. He always grew up in the forest. And Satyavati called upon Vyasa. Vyasa came and blessed Ambika and Ambalika with children. He blessed Ambika with a child. His name was Dhritarashtra. He blessed Ambalika with a child whose name was Pandu. When Vyasa approached Ambika, she closed her eyes in fear, and the child born was blind, and he was Dhritarashtra, born blind. When Vyasa approached Ambalika, she was weak. She grew pale and weak, and the child born was pale and weak. His name was Pandu. And Satyavati thought, oh my god, blind child, weak child, what is our kingdom going to do? We need a third child. She called upon Vyasa a third time. He approached Ambika again. Ambika was too scared. She sent her servant maids to serve Vyasa. The servant maid served Vyasa with bravery and dedication, and the child born was Vidura. Who was Vidura?
The incarnation of Yama.
The incarnation of Lord Yamadharma. Now, how did Lord Yamadharma become an incarnation and become Vidura? Okay. So there was a group of thieves who stole gold from a kingdom. They hid it in the hut of a sage called. Starts with the Vasishta. Brahma. A sage called Mandavya. A sage called Mandavya. Alright, repeat after me. Mandavya. Hid it in the ashram, hid the gold in the ashram of a sage called Mandavya. Mandavya was meditating and he did not notice. The soldiers eventually found the gold and thought that Mandavya was the thief, took him to the king. The king said, strike him with a spear. Mandavya said, I didn't do anything wrong, and he paid to Lord Yamadharma. Lord Yamadharma came and said, what do you want? Mandavya said, why are they torturing me for a crime that I did not commit? What did Yamadharma say?
He said that when you were little that you tortured and killed.
Yes, when you were little, you tortured insects. Mandavya said, that is not fair. When I was little, I didn't even know what I was doing. For everything I was saying, Vasishta. I didn't know what I was doing. I was always complaining about not taking a bath.
No.
Didn't want to eat any vegetables. I wanted only ice cream. I didn't know what I was doing. How can you tell me that it was wrong? And Yamadharma said, Yamadharma is God of truth, justice, and death. He's always just. Okay? Just means he doesn't know, okay, poor guy, let me forgive him. He doesn't know all that. He just knows right and wrong. He's like a cop. He's like a police guy. Okay, you drive fast, I'm going to give you a ticket. I mean, don't argue with me. This is the law. I'm just going to implement the law. That is Lord Yamadharma. He just implements it. And he said, I'm sorry, this is law of karma. You tortured insects, you have to be tortured. Don't argue with me. Now, this guy was a very powerful sage. He said, you don't know what is truth and justice. I'm going to curse you to be born as a human being. And Lord Yamadharma was born as a human being called Vidura.
This is the funny thing. All sages seem to curse everyone to.
I know, sages seem to curse everyone, right? Now there is a flip side to it. I'll tell you.
It's not that cursey anymore, since everyone's turning into.
Yeah, but for Yamadharma, who's like all powerful, to be a human being, they don't really like to be human beings, really. It's like it's not fun for them. Yeah, it's like, imagine you're living in a beach town, great weather. Let's assume you're living in San Diego, amazing weather. You're living in the Bahamas, it's amazing. You don't have to go to school, it's vacation all the time. Suddenly they tell you, okay, from tomorrow you have to live in Buffalo, you have to go to school every day, and it's cold. It's like that. They hate it. They don't like to be human beings. So, Lord Yamadharma was incarnated as Vidura. The kingdom of Hastinapura now had 3 children. Who are the 3 children? Dhritarashtra, Pandu, Vidura. Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. Okay, very good. They were still very young. Bhishma ruled the kingdom of Hastinapura until they got older. Once they got older, since Dhritarashtra was born blind, Pandu became the next king of Hastinapura.
So it's weird because like two of 3 children have weaknesses, and Dhritarashtra couldn't become king. He was blind. Vidura was the son of a nursemaid, so he couldn't become king, and Pandu was the only one left.
Only one left. He was like the best choice. But he was still a good king. He was a great king. He did a lot of good things.
And he shouted a speech.
Okay. I think we ran out of time before we could cover the next story. So we will cover the next story. I know.
Do we have to do this again?
We have to do this again? No,
Continue.
We have to continue the next story next week. But we will definitely ask questions next week. Not about this, but the next set of stories.
Okay.
But I will tell you, maybe I should tell you a small story.
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you a small story. What story should I tell you?
Any story. Mahabharata.
Yes. Do it.
She's the long story of Mahabharata. That's a story.
Okay. So, there is a story in the Mahabharata. Some of you have heard the story. So let's visit it and learn something from it. There was a do you know who Parashurama is? You've heard his name a lot? Okay. Parashurama was a great sage. Parashurama was also a warrior sage. Okay? He is an avatar of Vishnu, and he was a warrior sage. He came to destroy a lot of bad people in the world. Okay? Right. So that's the gist of it. Let's get into the history of Parashurama later. Now, what happened after he did finished all his act and all that? He was still a great sage. He started meditating. Now one day in the Treta Yuga during Ramayana period, Rama won Sita in a Swayamvara. Rama won Sita in a Swayamvara. Now what happened? Rama took a bow. Okay, it was the bow that belonged to Shiva. Rama took that bow and strung that bow and broke it. He didn't intend on breaking it. He didn't really mean to break it. He strung the bow. Rama was really strong. It broke. Okay. Now this bow was a very special bow. It's Shiva's bow. Now when that broke, it made a sound. And when it made that sound, Parashurama heard it. He was far away somewhere and he heard that sound. And as soon as he heard that sound, he knew that it was Shiva's bow, Pinaka, that was broken. And he got very angry. Ooh, Shiva's bow has been broken? Who is it? And he came rushing. Now after winning Sita, Rama, along with the others, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna, all that, they're all walking back with Sita and Dasharatha, their father. Now, Parashurama came, he was standing there, blocking the way, and asked, who broke Shiva's bow? I want to see that person. So Lakshmana immediately came forward and said, sorry, forget about what had happened. We mistakenly did it. Please go away. Parashurama was a warrior sage. He destroyed a lot of people in his life. And this young boy is coming and asking him to go away. He got really angry. So don't come in the middle. I'm here to meet the guy who broke Shiva's bow. Just tell me who he is. Rama came forward and said, I am the person. I broke Shiva's bow. I didn't mean to break Shiva's bow. But this is what happened. It broke. Parashurama said, you have to pay back with your life. Rama said, no, I've already told you. Now Rama was very confident and he said, I told you I didn't mean to break it. It was an accident. It was an accident and it happened. No harm done. Please go away. When Rama was speaking so confidently, Parashurama saw Rama and realized that Rama was in fact an avatar of Vishnu. And immediately realized that this cannot be an ordinary person. He has to be an avatar of Vishnu. And he wanted to test him. He said, here is a bow. This is Lord Vishnu's bow. Parashurama had Lord Vishnu's bow. It is the brother of the other bow. Can you string this bow? Rama took that bow, strung it. And Parashurama said, can you put an arrow on it? Rama took an arrow and put an arrow on it. And immediately Parashurama knew that Rama was none other than Lord Vishnu. He knew and he immediately said, I'm sorry for testing you. Now I will let you go. But Rama said, this bow has already been strung and I've placed an arrow on it and I've pulled it. Now this arrow has to meet a target. I don't want to kill you, Parashurama. Rama said, I don't want to kill you. But this arrow has to take something away. It can either take away all the powers of your penance, or it can take away your ability to move. Parashurama had the ability to move anywhere instantaneously. Like immediately he could disappear from here and end up in Florida. He had the power to go anywhere immediately. So Rama said, either this arrow can take away the power of all your penances, all your austerities and penances, or it can take away your power to move. Parashurama said, please don't take away my power to move, take away the power of all my penances. Take away the value of all my penances. Rama let go of the arrow. It took away Parashurama's all his powers. And eventually, that correct.
How could an arrow destroy something that's mental?
How can an arrow destroy something like that? How can somebody?
Why destroy something that's
Okay.
easy?
How can somebody disappear from here and land up in Florida or the Himalayas?
It's a sage.
Yes, exactly. This is the Ramayana era. All this used to happen. An arrow can take away powers. Doesn't have to take away some life. So all this used to happen. So now what is important in the story? I'll tell you what is important in the story. Rama was an avatar of Vishnu. Parashurama was an avatar of
Vishnu.
Huh. So both of them were avatars of Vishnu. They were arguing with each other. How is that possible? I know. So the key thing to learn here is avatars of God behave like human beings, follow the rules of human beings, but they are always connected to their true source of power, which is Lord Vishnu. They're always connected. They can behave like a divine being when they choose. They can behave like a human being when they choose. In this case, Rama behaved divine to cure the arrogance of Parashurama, who was behaving like a human being. Rama behaved like a divine being to cure the arrogance of Parashurama, who behaved like a human being.
The arrogance?
The arrow what?
The arrogance?
Arrogance.
Arrogance.
I thought you said the arrogance.
Did I say arrogance? I didn't say arrogance.
You said
Arrogance. The arrogance of Parashurama.
arrow.
Arrogance. Okay. That